I love ya. I love ya. Welcome to Ask Yeyefini Show. This is Oshun's time, so we got crunked up. You had my back. So if you have not, I just want to welcome everyone today. I see Nirvana Sankofa is the first person in. Welcome to the show. First Sunday of every month. And this month is Oshun, all things. Nina, Lafia, yeah, Lafia, Nina. Faye Abdullah, welcome to the show. That was a lie. They said I wouldn't be happy. That was a lie. Cause Obatala got my back. Constant complete. Your OD is your club. Rosalind Harris, Alafia. Thank you all for joining me on Facebook Live and YouTube. And remember to subscribe to my YouTube. It is an honor and a pleasure to have you all coming in today. Erica, Rosalind, JF Layo, Nina, Faye. Oh, I feel awesome. Faye? Faye. Why am I reading it like it's Spanish? Efulayo, Ogunlade, welcome everyone to the show. We are honored and pleased today. It is Oshun, all things about women. It's Women's History Month. Asheo, yes, ringing the bell for Oshun because this is the month of March. We've come a long way, baby. Last month we had Olokun, and Olokun woke up some stuff in us that we were like, really? That's what was on the bottom of the sea? And that's what I got to deal with? And now Oshun is coming to say all of the good stuff that you have, some of the doo-doo that you saw, use it as fertilizer. Use it as fertilizer to move you to the next level. So Oshun in the house. We have with us Priestess Oshun Tola. We have Nzinga Oniwasan, entrepreneur, Dr. Latoya Davis. I am so excited today. Welcome everyone. Alafia Shira. We are so happy today because, as I said, this is the month of March, and the new moon comes up next week, the 13th. So it's a new moon. This is a time for us to just look at the things that we have in our hands that Olokun brought us, because each month we honor a different Orisha, and in my institute, one of the things that we do is every month we set up an altar for our Orisha, and we just dedicate that entire month to bringing that energy into us. So we did that for January, we did it for Obaluaye, we did it last month in February, we did it for Olokun, and this now is for March. So that's the thing that we will encourage you to do. Set up an altar. Follow me on YouTube, Instagram. You see I had an altar up today, my Oshun. I shared with you a private, intimate space so you can know how to set up an altar if you don't have one already. And just sit back and relax. So I want you to just take a deep breath as we dive right in. Just deep breath. Just release any tension or anything that may keep you thinking about what happened yesterday or 10 minutes before. This is real, because this is all that's real. Let's breathe again one more time. Breathing in and just it's coming in, and breathing out. One more time. Breathing in. And just bless that breath and let it out. Because every time that we breathe, we cause our blood pressure to fluctuate, and Oshun governs the blood. So we are welcoming Oshun into coming with us and being part of us and elevating us. So as we celebrate our goodness and Oshun, we're going to have little ceremonies and rituals for you, because y'all know I love to give you little rituals that you can do for your hooking up for this month, because Oshun is letting you know that the weather has changed. The winter is gone. Spring is around the air. I'm still doing my fasting, and my energy level is like off the chain. Because after about the ninth day, I'm just like on fire. This is a good time for you to and in Zingo Oniwa song will talk about that, the importance and how to go into a fast and how to come out and why is it important for us to groove with the Orisha. Oshun Tola is going to be talking about loving women, loving each other in a compassionate way, and Dr. Latoya is going to be speaking to us, letting us know that a lot of the things that stop us from loving ourselves and loving this moment is stuff that we bring in from way back and we think that it's still up in our face. So relax. I am so honored. I'm so excited because all three of these people I have worked with and they have worked with me. They have all been my teachers, every one of you. So we're going to start out. I'm going to do a little intro. I should just let y'all do the intro yourself. I'm just going to speak from what I know y'all to be. Hmm. Rather than, because Dr. Fulaya is always telling me, don't take the paper, yeah, just speak from where you are, because you know you like to talk. So I'm just going to talk about each one of you. So the first guest that we're going to ask is Oshun Tola is going to speak. Oshun Tola is almost Dr. Oshun Tola Brown. She's getting ready to do her little dissertation in business, and we're putting that energy that is done. We see her walking across the stage, imparting to Oshun. I was there when she got her undergraduate. I think I was there for her master's as well, in her different graduations and things. And so she's going to be our first guest. Oshun Tola will be able to tell you a little more about herself. But she's a beautiful priestess of Oshun, who happens to be one of my goddaughters. And she's been a priestess for many, many years. And just a beautiful person, just a person that connects to always a joyful place of laughter and joy and happiness. Then we have, of course, we will have then Nzinga Oniwa song. Yes, baby, like you're raw. Yes. This is the woman that takes it all off and make you know that raw is good. And so she will be speaking about her off the chain app that is so good. I wake up in the morning and the first thing I do is just check into it. And the last thing I do at night is to write in the app. So her app, she's going to share with you her journey of why is it that live food and vegan eating and live food became her go-to medicine. Then we'll have Dr. Latoya, who's going to now take the love, the health, and take it back and let us know all of that has something to do with what we're carrying, and what we're dragging, and how to release it. And she will, of course, let you know how you can get more. All of you ladies, I have used in one capacity or another. So I can hush, turn it over to you, Oshun Tola. Please introduce yourself and speak to us as to why is Oshun important to you. So that's the first topic. We'll ask each one of you, why is health, why is Oshun, why is your divine loving yourself the important thing for us to do as women? Because women, we are changing the world. We have always changed the world, but now today we are talking about how these beautiful entrepreneurs are changing the world. So Oshun Tola, thank you so much and welcome to the show.
Alafia, thank you for having me. Greet you in this time of Oshun, and I'm very glad to be here. You said to tell you a little bit about myself.
Yes.
I am, along with those things she was saying, I'm priestess of Oshun for I think going into 13 years. And I am also a licensed marriage and family therapist. And we are on the way to getting the PhD. That's a process. I'm also a new parent. I'm a bonus mom of a 8-year old and have a new family. And I love Zumba. I love chocolates. I love dance, and I love women. I love us. Why is Oshun important? For me, Oshun, Oshun is important because she teaches us how to love ourselves. And for me, in my journey, that was very important because I had, like many other women, experienced different things, different traumas, different points in life where it was necessary for me to learn how to love myself. So that brings me to, of course, Women's History. Happy Women's History Month. Oshun, of course, is very, very important to this month, being the Orisha that is, of course, the Orisha of love, the Orisha of understanding what joy is, and understanding how to bring joy into our lives, and how to be grateful, how to have gratitude. My message is very simple in this time of month. I had a beekeeper speak to me earlier. Iyalode. There's a lot of women with a similar name, but this Iya is a beekeeper. And she was talking to me about the concept of the bees, where the queen bee gets impregnated and the male bee dies, and all of the other bees, which are female bees, are work together, and they work together to help the queen, and they work together for their community, and they also install a new queen, which was a very interesting and beautiful concept to me. And I thought about us as women, making the world go around like we do, and being like bees. Um, Unfortunately, sometimes we don't know how to treat each other. Not sometimes, a lot of times we don't treat each other very well. And it's very interesting. You talk about, you was speaking about the time of Olokun, where you deal with these things that are deep down below the surface. And it's a time period where we're working on going deep into our psyche. And you can see a lot of things that come up that are things that we may not necessarily like to see. They could be about us, they could be about family members, they could be about all kinds of things. And so during that time period, and also on into Oshun time period, I have had some situations with women where I was challenged to deal with them in a kind way. And had a situation actually as recent as Friday, where I was dealing with one of my clients, and she did not like the product that was produced for her. And she sent me me and my partner, a very long email, where, I don't like this, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't do this. And I say a few days prior to that, I had given her the opportunity to give me some feedback. And none of the things that she went through were any of the feedback that she gave me in this very long email. So we said, okay, we need to have a meeting. So we met and we went through everything. And I would say I was insulted quite a bit, but I had to keep my composure, and I had to look at it. I knew, I felt, I intuited that there was more to it than what she was bringing to the surface. And so as we peeled the onion, trying to get to what it is she wanted, she came to a point in time where she basically said to me and my partner, you know what? I've got a lot going on. I'm running two businesses. My 21-year-old is in my home, and I don't want him in my home. And my husband is acting like a 12-year-old. And she's whispering this. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, you do have a lot going on. You do have a lot going on. And I used it as an opportunity to find out what was going on, and to help her to hear herself. And when it came down to it, she did not really know what she wanted. She was overwhelmed by life, and she wasn't sure about what she thought she did want. So once we got there, then I was able to more effectively address what she needed. But I had to muddle through a lot of insults. I had to keep it humble, and say, not take it personal, which was challenging. It was very challenging. So that situation and another situation I had with another woman, which I won't go into that, but that's a whole thing, presented opportunities for me to ask myself, what is the reflection back to me? I had to check in with myself and see what was the opportunity here. Aside from what was going on with their situation, I had to look inside. Why is this meeting me at this particular time? And so what I determined was that I need to go deeper into what I preach. One of the things is being kinder to myself, being kind to other women, and not just in deed, but in spirit, in mind, in my thoughts. Because we can have a lot going on, a lot of chatter about each other, and it's not always fair, and it's not always kind. So I was challenged with that, and I also had to also recognize that for many of us, particularly those who are women of color, Black women, BIPOC, you know, whatever the buzzword is, we go through so much. We go through a lot as women, period. But definitely Black women Black women are frequently pulled and picked apart all the time. And that can wear on you. That can really, really wear on you. And I had to look at that, and I had to just say, I just have to love them enough to be able to look beyond some of these situations and understand that it's not always personal, and everybody is going through something. We don't always know what people are going through. Everybody's going through something, you know. So my message is this, that we as women work on being kinder, being more considerate, more loving to each other, uh, and loving with ourselves, and also in correction of each other. Love is not always flowers and sweet, and no, sometimes love is very firm, is tough. But love is also saying, listen, sis, this is a problem, but know that I'm walking with you. I'm coming to you with love, and I'm speaking to you with, I'm uh, trying to speak to you in love. I'm bringing this to your attention in love, with kindness, because I want you to be your best self. I want to be my best self. And that's one of the things I told my client is, I said, this is going to sound really cliche, but if you win, I win. And I truly, truly meant that, because she is proposing to do some training in some big cities. And, I want her to do well. I want her to succeed. It makes me feel good. And it's of course, it's good for business. But, to see her reach her heights, that helps me too. That is a benefit for me too. So, we have to think about, you have to ask yourself, how do you want to be treated? And remember that when you are interacting with other women. We're going into a new lunar cycle, as Iyalode Yeyefini said, new moon cycle, March 13th. And so I challenge you to have yourself an affirmation. I love me. I love myself, and I love and respect other women as reflections of me. I love myself, and I love and respect other women as reflections of me. And with that, consider rethinking, reconsidering, and reaching out to a woman that you may have fallen out with, or maybe you all haven't talked in a long time. But I want you to consider doing that. It's a good time to do that, a good time to open up, a new relationship with that particular woman. And that woman could be your mother, that woman could be your sister, that woman could be your daughter, it could be a girlfriend, it could be the woman, your neighbor around the corner. Hey, listen, I feel like we started off on the wrong foot, and I would like to redo that. Um, and just remembering that, I'm sure that we would all like someone to do that for us. For us. So, always thinking, going back to you and what you would like for yourself. Because, of course, whatever we put out, that's what we receive. So we want to put out good, but we can receive good. And in that, I know that we're going to be having some other speakers who are going to, of course, talk about health, you know, uh, feeding yourself good foods, meditating, feeding yourselves foods that are for you, good, healthy, fresh, raw foods. All of that is important in being able to get to a place where you can be kind to other women and they can be kind back. You got to feel good, you know. And then of course we have the other sister who will be going into our Igbay families and our soul, our the different incarnations of those Igbay families. I believe. Think I have that right. I'm excited to hear more about it. But what I gather from that concept is that um, being able to love and appreciate women of all different backgrounds than ourselves. And again, still seeing your reflection in that woman.
I share, I share, I share.
Shed.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The thing that wrong that made me feel, just kind of like put a nudge in me is when you said you checked in with yourself. You checked in with
Yes.
yourself, and as a therapist, you're coming where people are feeling that you're against them, but I need to come to you because I can't help myself. But in reality, the first thing you have to know is that you are on the same team, right? As a therapist, that's what you're going to do. And as women, that's the thing. Make this march the place where you're saying to reach out to another woman, but also reach into yourself and to find out, why is this happening to me? That was the key there for me. When you said you asked yourself, you checked in, why am I attracting this? Why am I bringing this? Why is this coming for me? Why is this coming through me? And so in honoring Oshun, that's the thing that you want to do, is you want to take your emotions, because during this time, this new period is going to be sensitivity, ultra sensitivity. And so those things are meaning that you're not sensitive, meaning, oh, I'm just going to boo hoo and cry. Sensitives mean that your energy feels. Remember, our energy has been dormant down in the winter burden. Now our energy and our nervous system is all popping out and ready to flourish. If we look at the little things on the little buds on the trees, they're trying to come out. They're just pushing themselves out. So that's what we have to do, is check ourselves and know that we are all in it together. We are each other in different stages of us. When we look at teenagers, we are them. When we are young adults, when we look at middle age, when we look at and seasoned citizens, we are all either there or getting there. I have been there.
Shed.
So in reaching out to each other, this is the thing that I find that in African understanding is that we belong to a community. The women depend on each other, because as the queen bee, she's depending on the drones and on the males to do what it is necessary. Their job is to make honey. No one is
Mhm.
fighting and saying, oh, I want to be the queen bee, I want to be. No, everybody knows that we're working together. So we have to reconnect to that concept of Oshun, of saying that we are like the river. Wherever we go, one side of the river doesn't go one way and the other one the other way. We're here together just as our bloodstream. And Oshun is that the blood that's carrying, it never says, well, I only want to go to the fingers. I'm not going to go to the heart today. I'm not later for the lungs. It just flows. It just flows. And in loving ourselves and being aware and checking in into, why is this happening for me, or why is this reaction, that's golden information there. So we can look at ourselves during this time and recognize that women in the past who have come from all types of trauma, all types of um, um, inhumanity. We always had a sister that we were going to help across the bridge. We always found another sister that we're going to, and if we continue getting a sister, the older women, get a younger person to help you. You younger girls, young ladies rather, younger women, find an elder, hold on to the hand so that we can learn how to love through whatever pain we're going. As you're saying, she was having problems in her own home, and you are a married woman, your husband, and you could have been going through something. Your husband is on a goon man, and you could be going through something, and you take it out on her. But you're like, no, this is not my place. My place is to be your therapist, or I'm helping you go through a process. I recognize that this is of value to me. What can I learn from this? So I can take this into share with my marriage and my new child and all of that stuff. So that's what I just rang through, that you check with yourself first before you point your finger at someone else, because we in this together. We're in this together, and the energy of femininity is very powerful. So thank you, Oshuntola, for that.
And thank you, Elosha. And when you check in with yourself, you know, you may get more than just the lesson and the understanding of whatever it is you need to understand. You might get some money. You might change your business practices, because for me, one of the lessons that the opportunities and blessings or whatever for me was that I changed, I added a new service, I added a new practice, and so that was part of why that visited me. I needed to change some things.
Oh,
Yes, and actually, after I had the experience with this one particular woman that brought me the opportunity, the blessing, I saw all these black buzzards all over the
Ashe.
all, so it was the message to me. Oshun was present. She was letting me know I'm here, and there's blessing in these experiences. Even though I hadn't seen all of it play out, there was a big blessing for me. So
Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. And you'll share the money that you got with us. Thank you so much. And seeing the Iami, the buzzard, and see my Oshuni Bukole.
yes,
Yes, because when
yes,
she shows up, Oshun is saying, yes, my darling, you get it. You get it. And it's so
yes,
subtle. It's so
yes.
subtle. When love comes, it's so subtle. You just have to have your eyes open to receive it. So thank you so much, Oshun Tola. Thank you. So you'll be staying online in case anyone has any questions and anything. I don't see anybody in the chat asking any questions. I think people are just listening. So we'll just move on next to Nzinga Oniwasan. Please come in and bless us with this beautiful, beautiful Haitian goddess.
Oh wait, she's tell her she's muted.
You're muted.
Sorry about that.
Yes.
So I'm introducing myself and then speaking about it from a health perspective, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Nzinga Oniwasan. I am a holistic health consultant, yoga teacher, vegan chef, and app developer for 365 Zing. And I always have an interesting story with Oshun because when I got my head read, I just thought I was going to be a Shango. Um, and I remember being quite upset when I was told that my head was Oshun, because I had a misconception about who she was. At that time, I was more listening to like mainstream interpretations of who she was. And then when I deep dive into it, I really started to understand her work as a healer and an artist. And it definitely made sense for me in who I am and what I do. And so today, when I speak to you, a lot of times when I talk about health, we're always talking about feeding our physical body, but I want us to also think about how do we feed all of ourselves, our spiritual self. How are we feeding ourselves outside of just the way we eat? And how does the way we eat really impact how we feel? mentally, how we show up spiritually, how it brings us into balance or takes us out of balance. So with respect to eating through your physical body by way of your mouth, you always want to think about your food as your first medicine. And usually what I say to people is, if we think of ourselves as a living expression of the divine, would you feed God or a goddess what you've been feeding yourself? If God showed up or a goddess showed up at your door today, would you be okay with feeding them the things that you've been putting in your body? Would you be okay with letting them hear the music that you're eating through your ears? Would you be okay with the visuals that you've been taking in? Do you really feel that's aligning you as this living representation of divinity? And so that's a hard conversation to have. And I think a lot of times it's very difficult for us to make really good decisions around food because we've really never been taught how to properly feed ourselves. And so the question is, would your great grandparent recognize what you're eating as food? Would, if you threw it in the ground, is there a possibility for it to grow again? And so when we start thinking about our food as medicine, that also means that it can also be a poison when we're not feeding ourselves the right things. And if we start to listen, then we can be able to know what those right things are, right? I don't believe it's a one size fits all. I feel like each of us have specific needs. We have specific needs from one day to the next, from one cycle to the next, from different parts of our lives. Like, for instance, what a woman needs when she is pregnant is very different when she's trying to conceive. It's very different from when she is postmenopausal. So the question is, how do you begin to check in? You have to know how to listen to your body. And so one of the ways that we're able to refine this compass so that we can hear it is through detoxes and cleanses. And so when we detox our physical body, or cleanse our physical body, it allows us to then cleanse our other bodies, our spiritual body, our mental, emotional stuff shows up. So it's as above, so below, right? And so a lot of times we use these phrases, detox and cleanse, interchangeably, but it's not the same thing. So I'm going to talk about that, and then I'll get back to the other stuff. So a detox is when you support the body's natural systems that do cleansing and detox, that does detoxification or removal of toxins. And so those organs are your liver and your kidneys, right? So whenever we talk about a detox, we're specifically saying we are supporting our liver and kidneys in eliminating toxins from our bodies. These are organs that are designed for that. When we talk about a cleanse, we're specifically talking about removing things from our digestive tract. So we're talking about our colon, we're talking about parasites, we're talking about our gut flora. And a fast falls underneath those two things. A fast essentially is an abstinence of something. It could be a removal of one thing, or it could be a complete removal of everything. And so you can use a fast to detox, and you can use a fast to cleanse. When we start to look at the organs and where they are, what's the word I'm looking for? Some organs are more susceptible or open to these processes at a certain time. And that specific time is what we call our equinox in our solstice. So during our equinox, we do a cleanse because we're coming from the winter where we've been eating these heavy foods to keep us grounded, to keep us warm. And then we may have clogged up our systems. And in the summer, we require a different type of work. And we can get into that a little bit differently. But those organs also have a emotional or metaphysical correspondence. So a lot of times when we find ourselves needing a cleanse, and sometimes we need a cleanse outside of the solstice and the equinox, is what are you holding on to? that you need to let go, right? So if you think about the colon from the sense of like waste, what is getting in the way of you? What do you need to release, right? Whereas when we look at things like our liver, we're looking at things like fear, and our kidneys deal with a lot of our emotions, like the watery sides of ourselves. And what I've found for myself and with my clients, when we start to do cleanses and detoxes, we're also able to detox and cleanse our emotional and spiritual bodies. And a lot of times, sometimes the things that we need to come to us can't come to us because we need to do that emotional, spiritual cleanse or mental cleanse. So as we do this physical process, things start to show up as above, so below. So we detox our physical body, then the chatter starts to show up from trauma, or the chatter starts to show up from the things that we need to do. And so we're coming into the spring equinox, and this is a time for us to cleanse. What are the things that you have brought into this new year that you need to let go? What are the things that are blocking you from your blessings? Who are the people that are constipating in your life, right? That you need to let go to make space for the people who can be more in alignment for yourself. And so those are some things that I look at when I talk about your food as medicine and looking at cleansing and detoxifying your body. It's not just one part that we end up doing, it's a holistic process. So as you start to eat more living foods of higher vibrations, then other things start to manifest in your life. I remember I was raw for a period of time of 9 months, and everything was coming towards me because as I was removing the clutter from my physical body, then the doors were opening for me to do other things in my life. So small starts, drinking more water. You're more water than you are. You're over 60% water, and water can naturally help you to both cleanse and detox. Other things that you can do is consume more greens. And when I say consume more greens, it's really important because that fiber supports your gut flora. Studies are showing how the bacteria in your colon has such more relevance than we think it does. It impacts your emotions. It impacts whether you have high blood pressure or not. They've done studies where someone can eat an apple and their blood pressure stays low, and someone eats an apple and their diabetes, their insulin levels rocket. And the only difference between those people was what their gut looked like. And so that fiber is going to keep you moving in terms of moving waste out of your body, but it's also the food that the good bacteria lives off of. Other things that you do is to stay moving. And moving doesn't have to look like going to the gym. It could look like turning on music and dancing, going to the park with a friend. Other things I always suggest is make sure you get enough rest. I think we do a lot of doing, and we need to do a little bit more undoing. So making space for rest also becomes really important, because it's in our rest, our cells are rejuvenated. The cells that aren't the cells that need to be eliminated get eliminated. That's how we cleanse ourselves. Detox our cells detox and cleanse when we rest. And if we're not getting the right amount of rest, the quality of our rest then impacts us in terms of our immune support. And everyone's worried about their immune system. And we've had all these conversations about mass, but we're not talking about how nutrition plays a large role in those pre-existing conditions that lead us having or more fatal outcome when it comes to things like COVID and other diseases. So, take your time as you start to figure out what makes sense for you, and start to do a food journal so you can see what foods your body responds to in a positive way and a negative way. And don't forget to pray over your food, to change the energy of your food so that it can be more aligned with you.
ask.
Okay, Ashe, thank you so much. There's a question. How can you tell physically that it is time for a detox or a cleanse?
Great question. One of the ways that you can tell it's time for a detox in a cleanse is if you have to have a bowel movement and follow up with incense or a spray, your waist your waste smells. That means that you're not eliminating your waste in an efficient capacity. I always like to use this example. If you throw your food in the trash on day one, you smell nothing, right? But if you leave that food in the trash can for a period of 3 days and you never throw it away, what do you smell? That food starting to rot. And that's what's happening in our intestinal systems. Another great indicator is if we have odor from our armpits. Typically, when we do a cleanse or detox, our bowel movements will be no fragrance. Our armpits, the odor that we smell that is pungent will go away. Our tongues tend to be more coated around the time that we need to cleanse. We might see a lot of breakouts on our face. That's another indication. We have a lot of mucus that never goes away. You wake up congested. You have bloating that that doesn't go away. So your stomach is distended, not because you have extra fat, but because you have extra waste. And so a lot of times I don't talk about cleansing and detoxing from a weight loss perspective. I talk about it from a waste loss perspective. So that's some of the indicators of it. Acne in your forehead is an indicator of your colon being congested. If you have darkness under your eyes, that means your liver needs some support. There's ways to read it that we've trained, ways I've been trained to read the body, but those are some basic ways to know that you need to either do a cleanse or detox or a combination of both.
Thank you so much. Nsinga, one of the things that I know that I've used with your detox and your cleanse is that the teas that you use to support it.
Yes.
That is the tool that you don't feel like you're doing this thing, like you're doing a dry run. That's so important. One of the things also that you said that I want to touch on is the importance of rest, because I've been doing, every season I kind of cleanse out the bowel tract, the liver, get rid of all the anger, the frustration, all that stuff. And the other night, I was, emotionally, as you said, the emotions come up, and I was in a place like, oh, it's cold, and I'm alone, and I wish I had a dog, and I was in that place. So I watched Netflix. I just kind of overdid it. I went to bed like 4 o'clock in the morning. The next morning when I got up, I was a mess. I was a mess. I was so cranky. I was irritable. I could hardly keep my eyes open. And I had clients that I had to read. I was feeling like, oh my gosh. So that thing about sleeping is true. Because if you don't get at least your 8 hours, it's going to show up.
Yes.
It's going to show up. And then that's when this drive-through society is, take this to perk you up. Drink some coffee and it'll make you feel better. Just need some sleep. But I can say about that. So when the emotions start coming up, and you're feeling that way doing the cleansing and the detox, deal with it. And I dealt with it like, okay, you need to go back to your normal routine. At 10 o'clock, you're sleeping because you're getting up at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock.
Exactly.
And the clock that you have within your body tells you that if you don't get your 7 or 8 hours of sleep, you're functioning like you need, some kind of thing to drive through. But speak to the fact that the teas that you use in your detox program that I've used over the years, it helps to go dig deep down in there and get all of it's almost like getting chewing gum off of the wall. It goes into the intestines and rip that stuff apart. So when you finish, you're feeling like, hey.
So, FYI, for those of you like, well, I want to do a detox cleanse. I have one that starts tomorrow. This first week, you wouldn't need to. I mail out the herbs. Last day to sign up is Tuesday. So why do we use herbs? Herbs help you to deep dive a little bit more. And so again, herbs are food and they're medicine. And so a lot of times when we make teas, we do it in the wrong way. We cook the herbs, and what we're supposed to do is infuse the herbs. So you boil the water, and you place the water, you turn off the heat and you add the water in there and you let it sit for a period of time, so the oils and the healing properties of that specific herb can go into the water, and then you drink the water. So different organs have different, or there's different herbs that stimulate different organs. So, or different supplements. So for instance, dandelion is a really great herb for the liver. It's known for that purpose. Red clover is known for cleaning the blood. Cerci is not in my blend, is a blood cleanser. It's known for cleansing the blood. Other things that are a part of my blend is a lot of times, a lot of our health issues, whenever I have a client, the first thing I tell them to do is detox and cleanse first, and then see me afterwards. Because a lot of times some of our symptoms can be removed or reduced by way of doing a simple cleanse or detox. And one of the things I think is really imperative that more people do more parasite cleanses, because a lot of us have parasites that have been coexisting with us for long periods of time. They're the reason why we're anemic, the reason why we're not, we have nutritional deficiencies. They get the foods, the vitamins from our foods before we do. This reason why we have the constipation. It's the reason why we have the fatigue. Herbs that are great for that: black walnut, clove, wormwood, other herbs that you want to take to maybe help you if you have chronic constipation. Senna, but it can get you a little gripey, so you want to pair that with something like peppermint to make it a little bit less impactful. Smooth Move tea is another blend that you can use if you have chronic constipation. But I will say to you that you should make adjustments in your diet so that you don't become dependent on these things for you to have a bowel movement. And sometimes it's not just simply diet. You need to move, because that helps that area of your body then move your waste out. But that water is going to be really important when you cleanse and detox, because as you're using these herbs, it's pulling these things out of your system, but then they have to be pushed out. So that's why we always use a mild laxative, and we use diuretics to help us move those things out of the body, because if they stay in the body and you're not drinking enough water, you'll start to get what we call the detox woos, where you feel lightheaded, you feel like you want to vomit, you might not want to walk, blah, 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 blah. So those are some herbs that can be helpful. I'm trying to think, because there's so many herbs. Parsley is good for your kidneys. There's a lot of herbs that you can eat on a daily basis. Like cilantro is a heavy metal remover. We have heavy metal buildup through the waters that we're drinking, through some of the foods that we're eating, and it can build up in our body and create a lot of discord as well. So cilantro, spirulina, dulse, wild berries are also a good, wild blueberries are good for removing detox. I see a question. Do you want me to address that question? Yes? Detox cleanse while breastfeeding. Great question. Not everyone can. I have two blends. I have a blend for mothers that is nourishing, so that you're not impacting the child. So if that's something you want to do, you want to make sure that you speak to the practitioner, then make sure that they have a blend that's not going to dry up your milk. So I specifically have a blend where if you say you're breastfeeding, then you can still do it, because I'm really big on using your food as one of the modalities for you to help to process waste out. So it is possible, Iyalode. It's with the herbs, there's specific herbs that you can have, and there's specific herbs that you can't have.
I have a question. What about people, women? Well, since we're talking about women in particular, women in preparation for pregnancy, or women who are having problems getting what I've seen you do some work, and the lady has 3 children right now after she could have any. So please address that. How can you do a cleanse and allow that to happen?
I actually have I have clients who are upset with me because I didn't tell them that their infertility would increase after a cleanse, and they ended up pregnant, and like, you didn't tell me, and I was like, So here's the thing. A lot of times, the reason why some women is not all women, some group of women who have infertility issues because they don't have the right conditions. And so the system reads, and the system says this system isn't conducive for a child. And so that might look like a miscarriage, that might look like implantation doesn't happen. And so you want to prepare your body for pregnancy. And a lot of people don't, because sometimes it's a oops. But if you are thinking about conceiving, you should think of it like this. And then I'll go into things that you can do. We have had our eggs for all of our lives. We had our eggs since before we were born in our mother's uterus, right? So that means that everything I've done up until the time of conception, my child has experienced, a part of my child has experienced, right? And when you think about like that makes you think about your actions a little bit differently, because a lot of times people clean up their act after they discover they're pregnant. But a lot of times the things that they witness in their children came out of activities that they did prior to conception, right? Because we've had our eggs for a while. And specifically when it comes to eating, your children, the first couple of months of pregnancy, your children are, the baby isn't eating what you're eating in that moment. It's eating what you ate 18 months before that fact.
Whoa. Repeat that.
18 months before you conceived, the first few months of your pregnancy, that's what the child is consuming, right? And then later on in the pregnancy, what you eat is what they eat, right? But in the first couple of months, it's what you ate 18 months before. And so this is why we should have small daily cleansing and detoxifying processes, so we don't have things building up that one get in the way of our fertility, but then become the building blocks for our children. Cheetos is not what we want to be the building blocks for our children. We want fresh fruits and vegetables to be the building blocks for our children. So if someone is trying to conceive, they should be really consistently doing a cleanse and detox. There's specific herbs that they should be doing to tone and cleanse the uterus. They want to make sure that they're not constipated, because if they stay constipated, seepage starts to happen and the colon just sits on top of the female reproductive organs. And so then that starts to create other things like fibroids, and that's a whole different class. But red raspberry leaf is really good for toning the uterus. Nettle is really good for preparing the body, because a lot of us are deficient because we're eating a lot of foods that are actually removing and stripping us of the things that we need, i.e. coffee, strips us of iron and other things that we need. So that's why we need to be able to have a diet that is balanced, a diet that reflects the rainbow. So you want to eat the rainbow, and you want to make sure that you eat as minimally processed food as possible as you're preparing to become pregnant. And so that preparation looks like at least 12 to 2 years before the fact. And that also includes your partner, if we're going to have that conversation too. They should also be cleansing and detoxifying in preparation. And that also means dealing with cleansing of trauma and all those things, doing the spiritual work, cleansing the spirit, so that when you sit down to conceive, you do it in a space where you may have a shrine that you set up, you pour libations, and then you are intimate and you call on what you want to happen when this ancestor returns through you.
Ashe. Thank you so much. This is amazing. So we need to know how to get to you. And is it too late to get to you mailing out our little packages? I still have some from the last time. And find out how can we meet, how could we touch bases with you and get your app and follow through, because the detox, this is the season to start planning your detox. This is the time that you should be in it, starting leading up to when the season changes. This is it, building it, cleaning it out. So tell us, how can we get in touch with you? Where can we find you?
Sure. So the detox is at yesbabyilikeItraw.com. At the very top, there is a button that says join the detox. It'll take you straight to it. I also have a app that was made for Black women so that they can be well. And that's 365 Zing. That's number 365zing.com. Tomorrow will be the last day for my launch sale. I wanted to end it on Women's Day. And so it's a monthly subscription, but with that monthly subscription, you get recipes, you have journal prompts, you have on-demand wellness videos, you have courses, and we have live classes. You have live yoga, live dance. We have a course for mothers. We have a course coming up, 6 weeks to holistic health. And so it's a really all-encompassing app, because when I didn't get over here overnight. I know it looks like I know everything, but it's a 20-year journey, and I had to piecemeal to find a lot of the information that I have now to heal myself, because I came into this journey because I was sick. I have a brain tumor. I have polycystic ovary syndrome. I have an autoimmune called scleroderma, and I was told I had to be on medication for the rest of my life in order to thrive. And I decided to take a holistic practice to approach healing myself. And I've seen a different reality than what the doctors told me. And so 365 Zing is my gift, my 40th birthday gift to the world.
Zing.
So
Zing.
This app was designed specifically for Black women, because we need to see ourselves being healed, because I want to close the health disparities that we have, and this is my attempt to do that.
I should. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, when you get that app, you will see Nzinga, because she is one of my teachers. She is an amazing teacher when it comes to turning the most delicious food, raw food, the pastas, all of the stuff that you think that you have to have it processed. This little sister, look at that skin. It is just glowing. And the stuff that she has taught me how to make, cheese. I know how to make cheese. She does, and she has classes that you can come to. You'll see her podcast on her app. You will see her teaching classes, and she's extremely, extremely generous. Extremely generous. She's always giving to the community because she's so committed to making sure. So the app is 365zing.com for Nzinga, and it zings you because it is amazing. When she said that, I was like, okay, there. You get meditations, but the thing that I love about it, the classes, she gives you the menu. She gives you a shopping list, what to take to the grocery store. It's amazing. To the minute. Do not get 2 jalapenos, get 1. Do not get 5 celeries, get 3. I love it, because when you're done, you have your stuff in your refrigerator and everything. Says it's not just about cleansing, it's how to support a lifestyle, with the work that she does. So thank you. In the years that I've known you, I've just held your hand, just step me through this process, and so definitely, y'all don't want to miss out on the opportunity to join her, leading us into the detox and the cleanse, and making sure that Black women use this month of Oshun to have the kind of zest that we desire and we require, that our ancestors paved the way to have. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. That app is the lick. Thank you. So we'll come back to you if any other questions.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we've spoken about the body of Oshun, and we're talking about the spirit, and we're talking about how to cleanse and how to make sure that your poop floats. That's important too, that the poop, when it starts floating, that's very happy. Because if it's dense, can you look like if it's dense? And so next we're going to speak to Dr. Latoya Davis. Yes. Another fabulous, wonderful entrepreneur woman is doing the work that has helped me to realize why is it that I move a lot. And I can unapologetically say, where in the world is Yeyefini? She's now living in North Carolina. I thought she was still in California. No, before that, wasn't she living in Jamaica? Yes, she has helped me to understand and to embrace embrace the fact that I like to live and I like to move around and I like to move. It's not me, it's my ancestors, so I can blame them. So thank you so much, Dr. Latoya. Come in, please, and speak to us.
Hi, everyone. As always, thank you so much, Iyalode, for the invitation. As you mentioned, my name is Dr. Latoya Davis. I never know where to start with what I am, right? But I am a Reiki master. And I mentioned that to say, Reiki is really this understanding of energy. And I believe that at the core of no matter what title we call me, for me, it really is about understanding energy, right? And being able to kind of sit in that and see how you're able to move it and manifest it to get the things that you want. The other thing I do is I read the Akashic Record, which is kind of the our soul's journey, right? The Akasha is this, call it this, the library of all that is, all that was, and all that ever will be, right? And so I kind of tap into that to be able to get information about your soul's journey and why you are here now, and what you've done in the past. And what else? I am a transformational spiritual empowerment coach. So using the information that I have about you spiritually, I am able to kind of help guide you and empower you with those things that you were sent here in this particular lifetime to do. So that is a little bit about myself. Oh, but I may as well plug my other business. So I am the owner of a business called Chi Essence, where I make essential oils and essential oil-based products that are infused with Reiki energy. And again, it goes back to this idea of energy and understanding energy and manipulation. And like Nzinga was saying, how the herbs. So as she's talking and talking about, the live, why you want live things and the things that you're putting into your body, all of that for me, I translate in my head as like energy. So it's like, what energetics are you putting into your body? And so that is kind of how I approach everything in life. And since we are here to talk about Oshun, and our first question was kind of, what is your relationship with Oshun? I always find it really interesting that when I had my initiation for Igbay, and you go in and you're sleeping with the shrines and you're supposed to be, being connected and getting messages. It was Oshun who came to me for 3 nights. It was her who came to me and told me and showed me a lot. And although she is not ever shown up in this lifetime, because again, I read Akashic Records, right? So I look at my life, not just this lifetime, but in past lifetimes. I am clear that the reason she supports me and continues to show up for me and guide me is because of our relationship over lifetimes. And for whatever reason, in this lifetime, I chose to come and experience her differently. But that does not stop her from supporting me. So I am thankful. I am thankful for her presence in my life. And really what I'm thankful for, or what she has shown me or really allowed me to do. She's been that mirror, right? Now I call it, my learned self, right? I call it shadow work. But before I knew that word of shadow work, she taught me to hold those parts of myself that I had issue with, or the parts of people that I found issue with, right? And to find that part in myself and to deal with it on my own, to find out what about that was causing me issue. So those things I am really, really thankful for Oshun. Both guests have said some things that I found very interesting, or that I will relate kind of to as we talk about how we move forward in life and kind of that baggage and that stuff that we need to clean out and remove. I'm going to start with the idea of, this was very apropos, like somebody threw me the ball and was like, here, catch it. Right. So from the idea that as women, we carry our eggs with us from the time that we arrived here. Right. And not only did we carry those eggs with us, not only do we carry those eggs with us from the time that we arrived here, so that means that by the time we have our child or children, they have portions or imprints of like a lot of the things that we've gone through in life. But because we experienced that same phenomenon when we were with our mom, right? So now it's not just it's not just our imprint or the things that we've carried with us. We have the imprint from our mom, who had the imprint from her mom, who had the imprint from her mom. So, right, if you carry that idea back, you can understand how we can end up in this day and age with not only our trauma, and it's not just trauma, right? It's some of our gifts, it's some of our brilliance, all of those things, but we can end up with it in this lifetime and having to deal with it in this lifetime and not really even understanding what we're trying to move or what we're trying to get out of the way. You know, one of the things that I really, really stand firmly in is this idea that you can't really address a thing if you don't call a thing, right? So sometimes we like to kind of move around issues, or we attribute it to something else, right? And we work really diligently at solving it in this other regard. And we are kind of like surface tapping it, but we can't really get to the core of things and remove them or clean them out or detox them out of our system if we don't call a thing. And so what I found is that a lot of times the spiritual, when we're thinking about spiritually, things that are impacting people are not of their making. It's two things that can happen. It's not of their making in this lifetime, or it is not of their making, right? So when it's not of their making, I'm talking about those generational traumas, right? So that thing that you've inherited from your mom or from your dad, or, you know, from somewhere back down the line. And it's just showing up in you, either because you have the capacity to heal it, right? Or because you're just susceptible to kind of experiencing that. And when I say it is something that we haven't brought to us in this lifetime, that's when I'm talking about kind of that baggage or that karma. I don't like to say that. Let's rewind that last part. That baggage that we've brought with us, or those contracts, or those unfinished activities or ideas that we've brought with us from past lifetimes into this lifetime to experience and to deal with. One of the things that I think is really important is understanding us as this kind of multi-layered being, right? That is able to exist across many realities, kind of all at the same time. So one of the other things that Nzinga mentioned was as above, so below, right? So just go with me. I'm throwing a lot of things out here right now, but just go with me. So as above, so below, right? So I mentioned during my initiation to Igbay, I'm just going to throw quickly what that is, or this is my quick version of this, and we can get into it later if someone has questions. But Igbay would be our counterpart in Orun, or for simplicity's sake, we're going to say heaven. Know that I'm saying that for simplicity's sake, okay? So our counterpart there. And what can happen is when we come here to Earth, right, we have made certain agreements or certain deals. We've said certain experiences that we were going to have, right? All of these things come together before we arrive here on this place, right? And then that's only from like just this lifetime, right? That is before we come here and we land on Iyalode or Earth, right? We have those agreements that we've made in Orun with the other part of us that's going to stay and kind of just watch us in Orun. But then if we take that even like a step further, right, we have the part of us that has been here before, that has, finished its existence. And like I said, it maybe didn't finish everything it wanted to do, right? Or it was like, you know what, the last time I was there, I really enjoyed when I made $1 million, and this time I'm going to make $1 million. Or, you know what, the last time I was there, I made $1 million and it sucked, right? I had to deal with giving my friends money. I had to deal with people not liking me. So when I come back this time, I'm not making any money. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want those problems. And so like all of those things come with us in this lifetime. But we don't process it that way. So we get here and we find ourselves in these predicaments, right? We are We are trying to figure out why we can't keep money. We're trying to figure out why we have certain health problems. We're trying to figure out why we can't have kids, right? So all of these things are kind of going together, and we are dealing with it on a physical level, right? We're dealing with it on the energy level. We're dealing on the holistic level, and sometimes we're even dealing with it on the spiritual level, but only at like kind of here, right? Physically, I mean spiritually, right? And I like to really think that we have like this multi-layered idea and multi-layered approach that we sometimes don't take into account. And it's not because of lack of desire. It's just a new way to think about it, or a new way to look at it, right? One of the things that I like to tell stories. So here's my story. So I had I did a reading
I have
for
a
myself.
question.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to add, because you mentioned Igbay, I want you, before you finish talking about Igbay, exactly what it is and how is it that you were able to put that together for, for us.
Yes. Yes. So, okay. So bigger picture. So, just, I'm going to tell you a quick story, right? So I originally, when I first started into my tradition, or African traditional spiritual religion, I was in the Lukumi system, and it was like, your head is Obatala, right? And I was like, oh, okay, great. And so we're moving along, everything is happening. And then I got to a point and it was like, wait, no, you need to be initiated to Igbay. And I was like, what? Who, what is Igbay? Right? It was not an idea that had really surfaced in the, I would say maybe 10 years prior to that of being a practitioner. It really had not entered my sphere until I had my second child, and they said that she needed to receive Igbay. And then 2 years later, I was initiated, but didn't know what it was, who, anything like that, right? And like many things in my life, I kind of end up being that person that is, in the corner trying to figure things out on their own, right? But I trust spirit, and I'm like, okay, if this is what I need, I'm going to trust you to put me in the places that I need to be. And when I come back to the States, to again, not have me out here on an island, right, trying to figure this thing out on my own. One of my gifts is that I'm an intuitive, right? So the other thing is that I connect with spirit very easily. I receive downloads and messages as easily as I know my name, right? So the combination of trust and knowing that I can receive this information sent me on this journey for Igbay. And true to form, they have not let me down, right? So Igbay are, as I mentioned, they're our comrades or our mates in heaven, as described in one regard, right? I have kind of expanded that idea because I do now do this soul work and kind of understanding things from this larger perspective. There's not much written about Igbay. So I'm a scholar, right? So I love books. The first book that I ever read about Igbay was by Ayo Salami. It's a red book. I can't remember the name of it, but it's by Ayo Salami. And in it, he says that before we come to Earth, we are in a room singularly. And at the point that Olodumare blows the breath of life, we split into two. And it's at that point that one of us comes to Earth and the other one stays in a room, right? And so it's this idea that one became two. And so now we're here and they're there. Igbay is the owner of our destiny. Most people don't say that, but Igbay is the owner of our destiny. Orumila is the testimony, or is the one that kind of helps stay on track with our destiny, and Ori is the keeper of it, right? It's our head, it's the keeper of it. But Igbay is the one that is with you at the point that you chose or choose your destiny. And then they stay in a room, how I process this, right? And they stay in a room to help you navigate that destiny while you're here on Earth. Igbay, as we know, like people have Igbay Obatala, or Igbay means group when we look at the word as a whole, it means group. So when we're talking about people here and they're saying Igbay of these particular groups, they're saying group. So when we think about Igbay Orun, which is the Igbay in heaven, so this is how I've kind of processed it. So we were one, and there were a bunch of ones of us in Igbay. So we were all singular we were singular in ourselves, but we were a collective because we were all there together, right? Living life, doing whatever you do before you get here, before you choose your parents and come to earth. And then, you know, the one of us was like, oh, wait, I think I see my parents. I'm ready to go. We get our breath blown, we split, we come here. There are other people who were there with us, again, singularly, who decided to come the same time or close to the same time, right? Few ages, few years apart, sometimes a few months apart, sometimes the same day, right? So those then become the people on earth, right? They're still our Igbay. They're just now, we're all here on earth together. Which is why sometimes you see people that you feel like you've known forever, right? You have this really close kinship or familiarity with them, right? It's because of that connection from when you were there and that you all just chose to come here collectively. So that is the short version of that. But then if I expand that out into this whole group, so there's an idea when we're looking at spiritualism, right? So non-religious doctrination of creation, right? Spiritualism, that at the beginning there was source, however you perceive source to be, there was source. And then source created soul groups. And each soul group was kind of created in a particular area, right? So there was a soul group that lived in the ocean. There was a soul group on the mountain. There was a soul group in Pluto. There was one in Mars, right? So they were everywhere. And then, you know, life continued. I always say planets blew up, you know, water came and flooded the land. So different soul groups had to move different places. So now we're mingling and intermingling with people. So I actually perceive Igbay to be our soul groups. Because what happens when those soul groups come to earth, it's the same thing. Like you will see somebody from your soul group and you're like, hey, right? You don't know why, but you all have kind of the same characteristics, right? And it's because your place of origin was the same. The other thing with Igbay is considered irumole. So they've been there since the beginning of time, right? They were there before there was anything. And the story says that they were all kind of in the sea, and then something happened, and the sea, some calamity. I don't know what the calamity was, but something happened, and they had to scatter. And that's how you now have, ones that moved by the garbage or by the hill, right? So all of these different beings that once lived in this one place had to move and scatter. So that's kind of how I perceived it. And what really clicked for me one day is I had a client. I've had a few, but this is kind of when it first, I was like, wait a minute. I had a client who had some issues with Igbay, right? So a lot of people go to Igbay when they have issues with not being able to conceive children. If you've been married a lot, maybe your mate dies often, right? Or if you have problems keeping a mate, those are some of the things or if you have a child that's going to die, so IBQ children, right? So those are kind of some of the reasons that people will go to an Igbay, deal with those things. And so I had someone who had been working with someone to deal with a mate in our room, right? So sometimes the reason we have those issues, the reason we can't find a spouse here, or every time we get married, they die, is because in Yoruba mythology, there is a mate, right? You were married in Orun, and that's Igbay. And so that mate in Orun is keeping you from doing or living life here because you made a promise there, right? You made a promise in Orun. And it's like, wait, no, what are you doing? You're already married. What is this man doing, right? So they create this conflict. And And so there's a ceremony that can happen, Igbay ceremony that can happen that kind of allows the husband in a room to be satisfied and kind of, move to the side. You get to renew some promises and things like that. Right. So I had a client that had that ceremony done, and I was there. So I knew it happened. Right. I saw it. Everything went well. Everything took. Right. But then later there were still some things that were showing up. And then they ended up coming to me for one of my souls clearing healing sessions. And when I went through their session, it said that they had a soulmate contract, right? And I was like, wait a minute. We just dealt with this on this side. But I realized what happens is when we're dealing with it from on the Igbay level. So again, that's why I say there are these levels. So we dealt with it, right? But we dealt with it like here. And the level that this contract was on was actually here. And so that was like one of the first indicators or ideas for me that was like, wait a minute, there are some things here, and I just kind of need to go a little deeper. And so as I continue to do this soul work and see similarities, because I do have the privilege of kind of experiencing things from a multitude of levels, as I continue to do that work, I really started to see this like integration and this meshing and kind of an opportunity for us to be able to kind of dig a little bit deeper in how we were clearing some of our spiritual baggage and trappings, right, and clutter, and just taking it like a little level higher. So that's kind of how I got there.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's awesome. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to be on the show, is that with the whole process of the soul grouping and with Igbay, the things that I've done with the SEI, the self-empowerment intensive, going to the next level, it's where you and I are going to collaborate, and we'll be working together, because when you're going through the SEI program, you're actually connecting to some of the issues on this level, which is the family that you're in, the pain, the trauma, the beauty, all of that. And you go through it on such a heavy level of possession that when you come out of it, you see and you feel the change, but you need to go now and to know how to bring that to you in your everyday work, how to bring those soul groupings. And that's how the SEI, you and I are going to be working in collaboration, in you working to bring, going back, not only bringing the concept of the Igbay, but once you've done your SEI, you want to go deeper, you will then know, why is it that you made that contract?
Yes.
That's what I love, is that why is it? Because, we want to know why. People wants to know. And we want to know, why is it I made this contract that my husband would die, 3 husbands would die? I need to know why that contract was made. And that's the work that you're doing, that I love, that you go back and say, okay, it's not that you're a husband killer. It's that this is a contract you made for you to evolve or make a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then you can make a choice at the next time. So thank you so much. So let us know, where is it and how people can get to find out how to get this Akashic record as well as the past life. It is phenomenal.
Yes.
So
my website is Chi, C-H-I, energy, right? Chi means energy. Chi Heal, the letter T-U. So chiheal2.com. And it's on the screen right now, but chiheal2.com. Or you can Google Chi Healing Institute, right? So it's Chi Healing Institute. I'm also on Instagram, so you can find me on Instagram at Dr. Toya D. And, the other thing I wanted to say about, I think when you mentioned knowing, like we want to know, right? That is, when I do these sessions, for me, sometimes hearing people have cried because they're like, oh my gosh, now I understand why I've done this so much, right? And it kind of gives people that permission. Like I say, sometimes we have to give ourselves permission to be in a particular place, right? And so it get like that knowing provides a confirmation, provides a level of, I'm not crazy, right? I'm not out here doing the most, right? I'm literally out here doing what my soul said it wanted to do before I got here. And that allows you to walk in a different level of authority and confidence, as you kind of move through life. So that probably is one of the biggest blessings that I get from doing this work.
I share. And it brings us back to the whole purpose of having Oshun, having this time where we can take the time to delve deep, to go in, to set intentions. The new moon is coming up. We can start setting, and it's never too late. You don't have to wait for the moon to delve in and find out. So you're doing your cleansing on your detox with Nzinga. You're connecting to your therapist, finding a therapist that can help you, like Oshun Tola, to help you hold your hand when you get to the edge and you say, I'm a husband killer. And then you say, no, you're not. You're here. You're safe. Your husband, the newest husband, is safe. You will live wonderfully with him. She will be able to tell you that just love yourself. And then Dr. Latoya will take us and let us know, why is it that you made the contract? So loving yourself and knowing who you are and doing your check-in, your self-inquiry, and not judging yourself and wishing could have and blaming yourself, but coming to understand that we are different layers of evolution, and every time that we come back, we can choose different lifetime, different people to be with, and you can set an intention and you find those people on your Igbay. You go and you say, this is what I want to find, and then you find those people, you buck up on them or something, and you feel like a bell goes on, ding 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 ding, and you're like, oh my God, I know you from somewhere, and you may not have never met the person, but the vibration that comes. And so when you check in with yourself, that's what it is. When something happens to you or for you or through you, you're asking yourself, this is a gift. Let me find it. Like Oshun told us, let me not go off on this lady. Why is it? Why is it happening for me? Why is this happening? What is the gift in this? What is the blessing? What's the lesson in it? And then you find it because you set the intention. So right now, set our intentions to get and to receive all the potentiality of Oshun, which is life. Oshun is life. It's always having an opportunity to be creative. So during this time, I challenge you and I suggest that you spend some time. I wrote that in my newsletter. Go to the river, the sea, or the lake, or just gather some water if you're living in a place where it's cold, and bring it home and do some meditation with your feet in that water. And Oshun will then bless your feet. Eshu is the energy that you're cleaning your feet with, because he governs the feet. But at the same time, you're opening the portal that grounds you when you walk. So this is a good time to get some river water, some lake water, save it, bring it home, put some lavender oil in it, soak your feet, do a meditation. This is a time to write a note as to who and what you want to be. And by the next new moon, which will be April, I think it's like April the 16th, I think it is, that you will be coming into the new moon, that you have an opportunity to come out with Ogun. Because Oshun is saying, I'm giving you an opportunity to put all of these lovely things in the ground. When the next new moon comes in as Ogun, you have an opportunity now to create, that you have the courage and the strength and the wherewithal to do Ogun and to say, yeah, I'm not going to be a coward, because I did my work. I did my internal work. I found out what it is that I want to do. I questioned myself. These are nothing but beautiful things. So when Ogun comes out, you can just put it in and go get to work. And then the next time after that, after the Ogun, then we're going to be coming to Shango. You come out like a queen and a king and say, hey, I did the work. I went in, I got my Akashic record. I looked at myself. I went to my therapist. I did my cleansing, my detox. And here I am with Shango, like, hey, I'm rocking. That's why the good stuff is coming to you. So no one is holding back your joy. No one is holding back the potentiality that you have to be like all that Oshun is, that anywhere she shows up, everybody wants her. Laughter, joy, happiness. That's one thing that everybody wants. From the day you're born, you want to be loved. You want to be approved of. You want people to encourage you. And so this is a time with Oshun. This is a good time also. Go to my YouTube channel and subscribe and find some of the Oshun baths. These are the things that we would do, taking our baths and our cleansing and detox, but doing the external work too, so that you don't stay up watching Netflix till 3 o'clock in the morning. And then you're finding out, and then you start journaling, realizing, in Zinga's journal, it says, what do you want to do? At the beginning of the day, there's a journal that you do for what it is that your intentions is. At the end of the day, what did you accomplish? How are you going to, so it gives you a check and balance, so we don't judge ourselves so harshly. We are women. We have such beautiful, magnificent auras that the male want to be around us. We are like flowers. We smell so good. We look so good. So we want to make sure that when the men are attracted to us, or that our divine partners are attracted to us, we are so open and ready, like Oshun, that any seed you put in the ground will grow, but you got to nurture it. So as long as we're doing that nurturing and we're doing the things that we need in self-love, check in, and discipline. For me, discipline is so important, because sometimes we want to blame circumstances, the man, whatever, and we don't want the discipline that is required to do the work. Commit ourselves to having discipline. Discipline to do whatever it is. If you just do it for 21 days, you will change the electromagnetic energy around you and your waves. As well as your digestive tract. Your body will be like, oh wow, we don't do that anymore. Okay, let me try something else, and let me now start feeling. Stay away from the middle of the grocery store. Stay away. Everything is processed. Stay away from the middle of the grocery store. That stuff is packaged with a life of 5 years. What? That's not normal. So this is the time that you want to go on the perimeter of the grocery store. That's where you want to go and visit your local, area, whatever's coming up. Also, this is a good time. This is a year that we have to worship Orisha Oko. Everybody should have a little vegetable garden, if it's above ground, something that you're growing, that you can pick and just add to your food. These are the areas that Oshun is encouraging us to do. And of course, this is the time that you want to get to the gym and tighten up those areas that that makes you feel externally good and outside. And I know we've been in this universal timeout, and sometimes I saw a new word that I found today, that it says you have on your Zoom face. Sometimes we just get dressed up just for Zoom, and then we go back to looking on, and so we got to really take this time now as Oshun. Wake up every day, fix ourselves up like we're going somewhere. Get rid of all of that stuff that no longer serves you, like the clothes. If it doesn't bring you joy, if it doesn't make you feel passionate, get rid of it. Pass it on. Just as you letting go, and don't go shopping yet, you let it go, and then you come back with a new attitude and a new behavior. So thank you. That's what I needed to say. Ladies, 1 minute to close out. What do you want to say? Oshun Tola in closing, Nzinga and Dr. Latoya. Everybody knows how to find them. These are the women that make me feel like, hey, holla at a girl.
I think I would like to say, hey, I want to say, love is not just a personal ideal, but it's a cosmic magnetism that that binds and holds things together. So if you can have love within for yourself, you can have love within for your fellow woman, fellow man, fellow child. So I love myself, and I love and respect other women as reflections of myself. And that's all.
Thank you. Nzinga? We can't
Okay, sorry. Two things came to mind as you asked that question. I was hearing Imatoye. One is, you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. You don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. And then the second thing that's my go-to is, are you making decisions that are leading you towards your miracles, or ones that keep you in your madness? Are you making decisions that are leading you towards your miracles, or ones that keep you in your madness?
Ashe. Thank you so much. Dr. Latoya.
So I'm going to try to do 3 in a minute. So one is, allow yourself grace, right? I think we oftentimes extend grace to everyone else, and we don't extend it to ourselves, right? So allow yourself grace. The other thing is, the universe is expansive, and it doesn't say no, right? Sometimes we limit ourselves. We tell us that the universe isn't going to give it to us, right? The universe is expansive and it never says no. And the last one is energy follows intent, right? So be clear with your intentions, and kind of as a wrap up to what Iyalode was saying, like put whatever your intention is, be in that, right? Put your energy in that, and then you will, the universe, respond to that idea. And if you fall short, give yourself grace and try again the next day.
That's it. Ashe. Thank you so much, Thelma. So mine is give attention to your intention. Pay attention to your intention so you can nurture it. And the next one is let go of the fantasy and the nightmare will end. Let go of the fantasy and the nightmare will end, because Oshun is the energy that makes you know that fantasy can be real and it can be a nightmare. So thank you, ladies. Thank you for everyone on the show. This was amazing. For those of you who came in late, you know you can find me always on YouTube. Follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And these wonderful sisters are doing the work of bringing the vibration of women of color, the women of all races, creeds, beliefs, understandings all over the world. You are valued and you're valuable. So embrace yourself as God. You are your temple. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Odabo, have a wonderful, wonderful evening, ladies. And I will see y'all again on the next Ask Yeyefini Show, the first Sunday of April, which we're going to be like, Ogun Day. We'll be bringing out Ogun. Thank you. Odabo.
Double.